Hi everyone, happy December. I am holding it up. This is what happens if I don't. I would have fixed it if I was actually gonna wear it, but it jingles too much, so it's only for the intro. Welcome to day one of Mandy-Mas, your daily holiday treat for the next 12 days of real talk, clarity, and a little bit of Mandy magic. A little bit of an intro to Mandy-Mas before we get started with the podcast. For the next 12 days, I will be releasing an episode of a podcast. It's kind of to make up for some lost time of me not posting for the last year, and I want to be more consistent with the podcast, posting at least once a month. That is my goal because I have to balance school, social life, extracurriculars, and whatnot. And podcasting takes a little bit of time. It takes like a good hour recording, hour editing. So, for me to actually start being consistent with this, we're going to start small. A podcast a month. I have really fun topics to talk about. As the days go by, we will be increasing, or I guess upping, the Christmas spirit and level. It's going to go all the way to the 25th, Christmas Day. I'm obviously going to pre-record them because I'm going to be with family. So time management has been crazy. I've been studying for exams, in between editing the podcast, doing whatever. So we're living lavish. I think it's going to work out if I just keep consistent with how I'm doing it. It's going to work out amazing. I have really exciting plans for it. But yeah, so as the days go by, we'll be getting more into the Christmas spirit and whatnot. Today we're going to start it slow, ease into Mandy-Mas. Originally, in my last episode, I said it was going to be Podmas, but I didn't really like that name, so we landed on Mandy-Mas. I think it also pushes the fact that I don't want to be called Mango necessarily, despite that being my name on TikTok. I get it. It's Mango Mandy, and mango's the first thing you see, but like, the Mandy's right there. Yeah, just stay tuned. I don't want to give too many spoilers about the future topics. You can either see if they're already posted, or you can just tune in and find out. So, without further ado, let's get this episode started. So, with the Christmas season coming along, the winter season coming along, I will say a little spoiler. I do have an episode coming up during Mandy-Mas about cuffing season and relationships and all that. But before we get into the depths of it, I kind of want to, this is like a pre-episode to it and just kind of talking about wanting a relationship in the Christmas season, having certain expectations and whatnot. So, as you saw by this title, we are going to be diving deep into when is it okay to ghost someone? A very deep, complex question, personally for me, as someone who was indeed a serial ghoster growing up. To be fair, it was done to me, so okay, that's not a good excuse. But like, what did I have to learn from? I learned from my past experiences, so I don't blame past me a lot. She just did what was done to her. Okay, that sounds like I've been ghosted left and right, but like, let me tell you, high school was ruthless. When people would ask, what do you look like? You send a picture, bam, unadded. I was like, oh, damn, am I that chopped? Like, okay. Not gonna lie, I feel like that's where like a lot of high school girls can gain a lot of insecurities, I won't lie. If I had any tip, number one, actually, you know what? If you want to add boys on Snap, who cares? Like, do it YOLO, but also don't base your worth off of that. That's my number one tip. Do not base your worth or how pretty you are based on other people's opinions. You know what I mean? And that might be crazy to say since, like, people would think the majority of the opinions on you are right, but I don't agree with that whatsoever. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and no one can tell you you're ugly. You just might not be their type. You might just not be their physical likeness. Some people's type is based off of, Eurocentric standards, European standards, Western standards, but then they're literally, if you look in the past history, beauty standards have changed like crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Before, at one point, it was like super gorgeous and good to have a huge forehead and super pale skin. Now, depending on where you are and where you're from, it could go either way. So I think you should base your beauty Not on your physical appearance, even though that sounds corny. You know, it's on the inside. That counts, but it's true. Beauty is your physical appearance, I should say, is temporary. I don't look the same way I looked yesterday. I didn't have a fat pimple on me. But I still think I'm beautiful either way. So we're getting a little bit sidetracked already. But going into that, you know, ghosting, adding boys on Snapchat, I've been a culprit and a victim of ghosting multiple times. I've been the ghost, and, I've been in some haunted houses, let's say, both literally and figuratively. Actually, that would be a really good podcast episode one day, like ghost experiences and paranormal experiences I've had. Remind me to do that, y'all. Basically, I'm not going to dive deep into the beginning of the ghostings, of whether that was me ghosting or other people ghosting me, because that would be going way back. But I think with the Christmas season and everything, romance is coming up and around, everyone wants to be cuddled up for cuffing season. It's getting colder, we're outside less. Personally, me, I don't like going to the club when it's winter. Just 'cause I don't really like going out when it's winter. I kind of like to hibernate, and it's gotten me thinking overall on romances and my standards, my expectations, my wants, my delusions in romances. And so I'm going to be telling you guys a little story time. I don't think I've ever told this story before because I was waiting for the right amount of time to pass, the most appropriate amount of time to pass. And I wanted to kind of like go about the situation a little bit more delicately because, in a way, we were both wrong in the situation. And I think past me wouldn't have admitted that. Past me would have been like, oh, I did this because of this. But no, you have to take accountability, okay? And so, story time of my first date, my first ever first date, okay? Going into a first date, everyone has crazy expectations because pressure is put onto it by movies, books, friends, family. You kind of want it to go perfect. You kind of want I mean, maybe this is just me and I'm just a little bit of a hopeless romantic, but I wanted my first date to be my last first date with that person in a way. I don't know. I think I was a little bit disillusioned going into dating. And I'm going to say going into dating because sure, I've been on dates and hung out with boys in high school, but I honestly wouldn't call it a date unless they fully asked me out on a date or it was very apparent it was a full date. We're going to call him Luke. Okay, he was very, very cute. I'm not even gonna lie to you. To this day, I will still fully admit that man is attractive as heck. Okay, my type to a T, and I don't even have a physical type like that. But I have a certain pattern. I go for a certain aesthetic, a vibe, a certain look per se, and he fit that perfectly. Like, and we had very similar upbringings, so it was just like box being checked and checked and checked. But in my little disillusioned head, I envisioned my first date with a boy, my first official date with a boy, to be perfect. We're gonna fall in love, and it was just supposed to go uphill from there. I put a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure on it because that's what one does. Which let me tell you, I'm your cautionary tale to stop Actually, I love romanticizing things. Again, as a hopeless romantic, I am your cautionary tale to stop romanticizing the beginning of things. We both, in a way, projected this idea of each other through Snapchat. This is where our communication, actually, no, I think our communication started on a different app and then it bounced to another app. And then our main form of communication was Snapchat. Should have been a red flag, but at the time I was a Snapchat girly. Like, I loved it. I just liked snapping people. I don't know why. It was a fun little thing. I snap my friends still, but I don't really use Snapchat like that anymore, like for potential romantic interests and stuff. But Snapchat was the thing with him because he was super attractive, okay? Super attractive. And obviously he found me attractive. Like it was very clear. And so like, the interest is there. We're talking about hanging out, meeting up. We could have done it multiple times and a lot earlier. But I think I was postponing it in the beginning. I still am a little bit of an anxious girly. So I needed some time. And eventually I just preferred it in the summer. Like I just glow different in the summer. The summer's just my vibe. So I think I postponed it until the summer. Eventually our schedules aligned after I think he canceled on me with the first plan. Okay. And that's just crazy. But I accepted it. I accepted it because we got to be understanding sometimes. But I'm just saying that was crazy. After so long and, building up the anticipation of hanging out, you're gonna cancel on me? Luckily, it was within a good timing. That is my one rule. If someone, specifically someone who is trying to pursue me, cancels on me the day of, couple hours before you're done, you have no respect for me. That's my big thing. And this is why, honestly, you shouldn't plan your day around a date. I didn't do this with him specifically because I had learned my lesson before. My thing is, it's just so disrespectful. I understand if it's a urgent, all of a sudden thing that came up, explain your reasonings, whatever, okay, valid. But it's about the respect for the person, right? So luckily, I think he canceled on me the day before. Had something to do with his work, so I was like, understandable. Okay. Eventually, after some failed attempts, we ended up hanging out. We lived very far away from each other, but honestly, it's about the effort you put in. I had my car at the time, so I don't know why we didn't meet somewhere in the middle, to be honest with you. Me now, I would have met somewhere in the middle with someone who lives far away, but I don't know. I don't know why it happened the way it did. Point is, not only did we live far away from each other, but he was willing to make this work so badly that he was even further from where he lived, and he was like, we're still making this date happen. Like, I'm going to see you after. So I was like, guys, it got me all hyped up, okay? And then, so, of course, he drove a long time. Should I even say how much time he drove? Like 2 hours to come to me. He only lived about an hour or 40 minutes away, but where he was at the moment, he was 2 hours away from me and he was picking me up, which also I don't think I would let a man pick me up anymore. I was in this like era before where I wanted men to pick me up from my house, and I was like, if you don't like that, we've grown and we've learned. But to be fair, in that era, I was also dating a lot more locals, so to say, so to speak. So it kind of made sense. Like people I knew or had mutual friends with or knew of and things like that. Like not complete strangers. So drove really far to come see me, pick me up, and it was just really good vibes at first. I'm not gonna lie. I was obviously super nervous. Like I got that I'm here text and I was like, oh my God. But leading up to this, he was late. Very late. To be fair, there was a lot of traffic, but he was late, about an hour late. And I think he was keeping me updated, but I was waiting at the door for a minute just because I expected him to come at a certain time, and then like he didn't let me know early enough that he was gonna come at that time or like later than that time. A little bit embarrassing in front of my parents. They already got a not the best impression with that. And so, I don't even remember what we talked about on the car ride there. I just remember being super nervous because he was so attractive in person, but his voice was so different. Do you ever have those moments where it's like I don't know, I guess we never really sent voice messages to each other or anything like that while we were like getting to know each other with text. But his voice sounded so different. Like it was just not what I expected. And then eventually, you get used to it. I was like, okay, whatever. But it was quite a shock when he first said hi. He was very much a gentleman in the beginning, But maybe again, it's just I have high discernment or high intuition, or I'm just really good at reading people sometimes. But a lot of his gentleman actions and behaviors just didn't give genuine, especially with the side comments that followed after. So, can't tell you what we talked about on the car ride there, but it was very chill. First 5 minutes, obviously, were a little bit awkward. Getting to know, like, da da da, you're this, how was this, da 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 da. And we get to our date spot. Very casual. I think we were just kind of walking along a trail, so I don't want to give too many details. So we're going to call it a trail. Obviously, it wasn't a trail. That's crazy. I would not suggest anyone going on a first date on a trail. That sounds really sketch. We went along for a walk, is what I'm going to say. And everything was going fine up until we actually got to the date spot, I would say. He was saying nice things in the beginning, never once fully complimented me though. And the first thing he says when we get out of the car, we look like siblings. Okay, weird thing to say on a first date. Very peculiar. We didn't even look that alike. And like, honestly, maybe we did. But like, I don't think we did that. We did a little, okay? We did a little, but not that much. And that's just crazy to say. Like, what? I don't want to think of you as my sibling while you're courting me. Like, it just set an interesting vibe, okay? We're walking, we're talking, getting to know him. My biggest issue, I don't know if I should say this, but I do pay attention to when people ask genuine questions, getting to know you versus just asking you a question because you asked them. And for the majority of that date, I was the one asking questions. And it low key felt like a therapy talk. It was just so like predictable almost. And I genuinely questioned at one point. I was like, oh my God, I'm on one of those dates that people talk about online where it's a therapy talk. And he's talking about how taking mushrooms once gave him empathy and opened his eyes to the human experience, I guess. It was interesting. It was an interesting dynamic. And I don't think he once complimented me. In fact, he kind of, aside from the sibling thing, I'm not gonna say exactly what he said to leave a little bit of animosity in there. But whatever comments he made regarding my appearance or, yeah, it was just kind of negging. It was kind of like almost borderline insulting, but not fully. And I would always be left like, oh, okay, whatever. But it was a red flag. Definitely. And so we continue walking throughout this date. I'm still thinking, okay, it's only been 30 minutes. We can still save this. Like, there's still potential. Maybe he's just nervous. The nerves got to him, and now he's saying funny things. No, no. We're walking. There happens to be a volleyball game. This man is a known flirt, mind you. I chose to believe different, and I was proved wrong. We're walking by this volleyball game, and their ball goes over their like court area and rolls right past in front of us. I don't even know if they asked if he could get the ball or whatever. But it was just kind of like, oh, he walks over, gets the ball, brings it, and passes it over. A girl comes up. One of my boundaries, which I think is a very valid boundary, is I expect that if you're taking me out on a date, that you don't flirt with other people right in front of me. And this man goes and passes the ball to the girl. She says, oh my God, thank you. Like, obviously. There was a vibe. I was standing here. He's handing over the ball. I'm seeing her face. I'm looking at his face, seeing this whole interaction happen. I'm just standing there, amazed. And he goes, yeah, no problem. Winks at her. I was bamboozled. Absolutely bamboozled. I was like, did I just see that right? There's no way. I had to have imagined that. Like some weird part of my delusional mind made that up. Right? That's a joke. That is a joke. And it was in fact not a joke. To this day, I sometimes second guess myself. I'm like, no, you're being a little bit crazy and jealous. No, I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened. Like, I remember it clearly, vividly, in detail, like it's a picture in my mind, because I was just so baffled. Never once, if you had asked me growing up what I thought my first date experience would be like this was something I had envisioned for so long, like a mature first date type of thing, like we're grown, whatever. Not expected to go like that. And so already I was kind of over and done with the date, not gonna lie. I was over it. I was like, okay, he's doing most of the talking. It was literally just me asking questions just to make conversation. And he was enjoying it at that point. Loved to talk about himself. But let me tell you one thing that I've noticed, and I don't think this applies to every single relationship. I actually didn't even believe this up until recently, since I've had a little bit of days of pondering, especially on relationship topics. I heard this quote once, and it was like, in a relationship, there can only be one star and one rock. Something of that, okay? It has something to do with someone who's grounding and someone who is a little bit more flambunctious, a little bit more out there, more that. I used to think I was a rock, a little bit more like of a listener. I still think I am a listener. I would say I'm a good listener and I love to listen to people. And if you're having a conversation with me and we're talking, I would love to listen on whatever you're talking about. Like, it's not a thing. But I do love to talk. And so I think it just wasn't a match. You know what I mean? Like, he loved to talk, especially about himself. I love to talk. Clearly, as someone who has a podcast, I feel like I have a lot of interesting stuff to say. And so after, like, I think we hung out for a total of an hour and a half. So now after this volleyball thing, it's been like 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more. We continue walking again. I'm just asking questions to make conversations for it to not be silent. Because honestly, it wasn't that interesting, respectfully. And we get some ice cream. And I said to myself, okay, let's put this to the test. Maybe I am just asking really good questions right now, and let's see what he's got. And maybe that's me putting pressure on a conversation or a situation, but respectfully, I don't think so. I think, of course, granted, let's give some grace to people who are nervous, but I just think if you're someone who's interested in me and interested in dating me, you would actually have interest in getting to know who I am. Not very many questions, not very like super surface level. I don't know. It just, again, not a match, not a match. He's a good guy, sure, not the guy for me. And I wanted to blame it on, oh yeah, even, let me continue. There. We went to get ice cream. I was like, okay, we're sitting down face to face. Maybe, he'll ask some good questions now. We're eating. It obviously got awkward once I stopped asking questions. And it was just not the vibe. I could tell he was getting awkward. Again, I couldn't tell if he was just feeling awkward with the situation or getting nervous, but I don't know. I've always gotten mixed reviews about everything. Some people say I'm intimidating. Some people say I'm really easy to talk to. Some people say I look really nice and bubbly. Some people say, I mean, I do have an RBF, so like, I don't know. But he ended the day pretty much right there while we were eating ice cream, and he got a little bit awkward, and he said to my face, and maybe some people, like, this is what I'm saying, like, he's not a bad guy. Some people just have different boundaries, and I have very strict boundaries, especially when it comes to respect and who I'm actually gonna date and spend time with. And he just wasn't it for me. Everything he was saying could have been fine for any other girl. Some girls would have been like, that's not a big deal, and that's okay. Go get him, girl. But that is not the man for me. He says, okay, well, he looks at the time. Well, I think I'm gonna go to the gym, so I'm gonna drop you off. I don't know. I kind of wanted to, like, I just thought you drove 2 hours to see me. You'd think the date would last longer than an hour and a half. To be fair, as I've gone on more dates, I do feel like a good first date time is an hour and a half, maybe like max 2 hours, but I feel like a good range is an hour to an hour and a half, depending on, y'all's vibe. Personally, for me, that would work best because I take a little bit of getting warm, like warming up to someone. I take a little bit of time. And also depends what activity you're doing. If you're doing an activity, if you're just sitting down for dinner, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of baffled. I was like, this man flirted in front of my face with another woman on this date, talked about himself the whole time, and now just said he's gonna drop me off to go to the gym. When you could go to the gym whenever. But obviously, he just wanted to end the date. Like, let's be for real. And so I was like, okay, drops me off at home, whatever. I think like we continued talking and being like, oh, that was fun, da 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 da. I don't even know if he made mention of seeing me again, and that was already another red flag. And so I was like, okay, I don't really want to see you either. And the summer continues going on. Days pass by. We're snapping still. He invites me then to a party. I love parties. I'm a huge party girl. People have this big misconception of like party girls being bops. Can't a girl just like to dance? Can't a girl just want to be around some fun people and listen to some fun music and just dance without a care in the world? And just to reference my last episode, people have this idea of Latinas and they want someone who cooks, cleans, is like a family person, da 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 da. It's in our culture to go clubbing and dancing. You expect a Latina to not go to the club? I was literally raised with the club being at my house. Every freaking weekend, my parents literally, the club lights, we had the club at home for real. So I don't know how you could expect, you know. And I just think people have such a weird misconception of like people who like going to clubs like are bops again. And I'm like, if that's your intention for going to the club, which respectfully, most people who have that preconceived notion of girls who go to the club thinking that they do it for one reason and that one reason being guys are often people who do, in fact, only go to the club to pick up people. Just saying, the projection is showing. And so, yeah, anyways, little tangent there, but you can't want half of the culture and then not accept the other and think, you know, crazy to me. But, yeah, so he invited me to this house party. I love a good house party too. Like it's a different vibe. I kind of prefer like bars or clubs, but a good house party is a good house party, you know. Bars and clubs over a mid house party, but a fire house party over bar and club, if you know what I mean. And so, and this was like in an area that I kind of knew and knew people around that area, so I was gonna see more people too. I was super excited. I told my friend about it because he invited me, said I could bring a friend, and I go, oh my God, like I'm texting my bestie. I'm like, we have to go to this. We make this whole plan, whatever, whatever. She sleeps over the night before so that we could go. But the day of, we're talking about how we're gonna like get there. We're da 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 da. We're getting all hyped and excited. This man texts me bright and early in the morning. Hey, the party's canceled. My friend's parents came home early. I go, okay, darn, that sucks. Obviously a lie. I saw right through it. Immediately when he sent that text, I looked at my friend and I was like, he is BSing right now. But why? And she was like, no, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was canceled. And I go, okay, you know what? Whatever. I want to go out. Like, we had this plan to go out tonight. I'm not just going to sit inside after I got all hyped up to go out. We go to our favorite little bar. Yeah, we're going to call it a little bar. And Oh, it was my favorite. It was the bar of the time. Let me tell you, I feel like I'm an old granny saying that, but they shut that place down for underage drinking, though, which is so valid. So valid. Never once did they ask me for my ID, let me tell you. I was obviously of age, legally speaking, but they did not care for that. And so I could see how that place got in trouble. But whatever, I said we were gonna go out, so we went out. I made friends there. We didn't even plan to see them there. And as I'm out there, I post this super cute picture of us. Like, we looked so good. Like, little mirror selfie in the washroom with me and my gals. Looked amazing. Why does he swipe up on my story? And meow. I've never had a guy meow at me before, not even catcalling, like, not even on the streets of bummy, like, inner city areas, never. And so I don't even know what I said. I think I might have left it on red or like sent a snap, like, I don't even know what I did. And he sends me a snap or another, no, it was another voice recording. And he goes, "You are so pretty, Mandy." Obviously slurring his speech, obviously been drinking. And in the background, I hear a loud, what sounds to be a house party. How stupid are you? How stupid do you think I am? I don't even know if it was like the alcohol and like he just didn't even know what he was sending. I don't even know. But he was evidently at a house party and proceeds to send me voice messages, clearly with the background being a house party. And I'm a little, okay, in this era, I was a little bit intense, I shall say, but with good reason. If you didn't give me any good reason to check your location, I wouldn't. But your Snapchat location is on to everyone and it's public. And I feel like hearing a voice memo of you at a party after you tell me the party got canceled is really good reason. So I go over, check it, and it's exactly the house and address that was on the invitation that he sent me 2 weeks prior, maybe a week and a half. Goodness, goodness, goodness. It actually like made me a little bit livid, and I was like, I think I might have left him on red. I literally left him on red because I was like, that is just disrespectful. I don't care, it's just rude. Ew, like I don't support rudeness, even if it's as a joke. Not gonna lie. I mean, okay, like I can be rude as a joke to my friends and whatever, but there's a certain line, right? There's a certain line of respect, and you crossed it. You do not interfere with me and my mates in going out. Okay, thank you very much. And also, it just gave me a really icky vibe of like, obviously we weren't anything, right? So we're not like together. It wasn't that I was jealous, but it's like we're talking for months on end and you uninvite me. Obviously, there's going to be other women there. Obviously, you uninvited me because there were other options there or you just didn't want to see me. Either or, it's just not someone I would want to date or be in a relationship with. So, left that man on red and I think he kept like messaging me on like why I left him on red and like where I went. And then I just kept leaving those messages on red. And then he was like, "What went wrong?" Da 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 da. And I just kept leaving him on red. So, in fact, I did choose to ghost him in that situation and scenario. When someone is consistently asking for a reason, I don't know why I didn't just come out and say the truth, but in that moment of my life, I was just like, so over and done with this man. I was like, you don't even deserve a reason. Which honestly, though, giving him a reason probably could have given him like the clarity of a lifetime if he really didn't see anything wrong with anything or with any of his actions. But at the end of the day, I was just like, I didn't care enough. We weren't that serious at the end of the day, and I'm just not gonna be one to tell you how to behave like a decent human being. No thanks. Someone else can teach you that, and so be it. But so to answer the question of is ghosting ever okay and when is it okay? Past me would have said ghosting is okay whenever you feel like it, or whenever you feel disrespected, or whenever you're just done with the situation. Now, healed, learning of lessons, Mandy, I would say I don't think ghosting is okay. But in certain situations where you've been continually disrespected and someone clearly and evidently doesn't care, I think it's a little bit okay. Like, why would you waste your breath explaining something in a situation to someone who is just so uninterested in it, in one ear, out the other, or just consistently is making the same mistake over and over? I'm not going to waste my breath over and over. Who am I? Your mother? No, no. And I feel so bad for your mother if that is what she's doing in her role in your life. Like, do you not learn your lessons? But that's a different wound we hit there. I wouldn't say ghosting was the best choice in that situation, especially because he continuously kept asking me what went wrong. But I was just so over with it. I was like, you disrespected me. You disrespected my party life. You. And it wasn't even like, even in person, like it wasn't, uh, it felt like negging again. And it just felt like very, maybe it wasn't intentional, but it felt like a little bit manipulative and inauthentic. It just, we weren't a match. And it was only after our first date, I think, but even then, I think you can ghost after a first date if you haven't been building a connection, let's say, or like texting for a long time. That's whatever. If it's a super casual first date where you guys texted for like a week and whatever, okay. I don't think ghosting is appropriate. I think you could shoot and reach a mess like, whoa, you could reach out and shoot a message of like, hey, had a fun time with you that night, or hey, like, it was a fun night, but I don't see this going anywhere, da 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 da. I was not emotionally mature there yet, so that kind of gave me the ick, even like the idea of sending someone that kind of message, because I was like, I don't owe anyone anything, da 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 da. Now I'm like, okay, the human connection is about open communication, and like it's just not a nice thing to do. And as someone who prides themselves on doing nice things and whatever, and not tolerating rudeness, we have to be the bigger person, okay? As we've learned. And so, yeah, very unfortunate, but actually, let me see if he still follows me on social media. I wouldn't, obviously, like, we're done with that. And, like, obviously, we're not for each other, and he's not for me, and his personality isn't for me. But I am just curious now that we're on this topic. Oh, wait, that's following. Hold up, hold up. Guys, I'm a fan. Oh my goodness. Ew, I'm following him, but he's not following me. Gross. Unadd, remove, unfollow, icky. Oh my god, he knows so many people I know. Which makes sense, but like, damn. I swear it was not that many people before. Man, that kind of hit a nerve that he unfollowed me and didn't remove me as a follower. Oh my god. Here I am talking about it, rehashing things, but it's for the plot, it's for the podcast, okay? It's me talking about ghosting. And so, Loki, I thought it was super warranted because, like, he uninvited me from a party and, like, that whole, like, it just gave me the ick on top of everything else. So it was just kind of like, but the least I could have done is answer all the other texts he sent me and like asking and whatever. We live and we learn. So I don't think ghosting is okay. I think you can tell when someone is hurt by a situation and wants to know what's going on clearly. I don't think you should ghost then. But if you can tell this person doesn't care if you live or die and literally wouldn't bat an eye, then like I feel like it's a little bit warranted. Honestly, hurt people, right? He hurt me. I was like, whatever. Clearly, you don't care about my feelings. So why would I care about your feelings? Which isn't being the bigger person. It's not a good way to go about things. I wouldn't recommend it. It's always better to be the bigger person. And it's a teaching lesson to people who aren't like that, right? It's like damn, wow, this person's so emotionally mature and like, wow, they did this. This is something I could learn from that person. I stooped down to his level in a way. But not that I'm excusing it, but I am explaining myself. And with this whole, I think it was a little bit unfair because he was my first ever first date. I added a lot of pressure to the situation again, a lot of expectation, and this idealized version that, like, oh my God, we're gonna like run up into the sunset and we're gonna date and da 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 after the first date. Come on, girl. And be for real. It was my first step into this casual dating world. And I think I've always like had this, again, being a hopeless romantic, I've always had this vision for like having a cute love story and having this cute, like, yeah, a cute romantic story to tell my children just because I've seen it all around me, not only in like real life examples with my grandparents, my parents. I would say my friends are a lot more of a modern dating story, so as much as I love my friends, I don't think I would use them as an example. But just like movies and honestly being surrounded around that stuff my whole life, like I've had a lot of good examples of good and healthy relationships, and I've heard a lot of cute beginning of love stories, and I've always just wanted that, like it's something I craved. And unfairly, I put this projection and this idea onto him, and the fact that he completely stomped on it, spit on it, trashed it. My dream, of course. But like, I shouldn't have put that expectation and projected image into him. So we can learn from me, okay? Give you some examples, okay? Actually, after that year at university, I had learned of this really cute story that my professor told me of him and his wife, and it added on to it, okay? Like, it's just, it kept reaffirming in my head, I'm gonna have this grand, cute, amazing love story to tell my kids. And I'm gonna tell you his. I'm not gonna say his name, obviously. Like, some people would be like, about it. Like, really, you're gonna tell a story that isn't yours to tell? But I don't remember it properly or in full details, so I feel like it's like an idea of a story. You can take it like that. But let me tell you, so he told us that growing up, he had a horrible stutter. He moved from England, and not only did he have a stutter, but he came to Canada with an English accent, and so it kind of made him stick out like a sore thumb. I think he moved in like grade one or kindergarten. I think it might have been grade one, or it was between grade one or three. He was the new kid at the school. Obviously, in England at that time, the uniforms and clothing were very different for schoolboys compared to elementary kids here in Canada. So he came with his whole attire. Kids were poking fun at him, and he was kind of going through this like panic moment of like, oh my God, everyone's like looking, and they were all surrounding him, being rude. And then pops out a hand and an arm, and this, in his words, beautiful girl comes to save me. And she says, come with me, da 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 da. She pulls him out, and then she kind of like saved him from that horrible panic and horrible bullying moment. And she said, you're going to be my friend now. And then from grade three to so on, they were friends forever, started dating in high school, and then they got married. When I heard that story, my little heart went pizza-patza. Ah, that's so adorable. I love that. I love love, and I love hearing stories like that. So, like, oh, I actually think about that story a lot. I wish I remembered it in all full detail. The way he told that story was so romantic and so beautiful, and I realized when people tell stories, I like to delve into them. My mind plays this movie and plays it as if I was there in third person watching it all happen. I grew up on too many romance movies and musicals, and they definitely altered my perception of love. I'm surrounded by great love stories. Obviously, not every relationship I've known, like aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever, has like been a fairy tale love story or like worked out for them. Obviously, that's not how life works, but what can I say? As a hopeless romantic, I will hold on to that idea. And maybe that's not for the best. Maybe that isn't for the best because it does prevent you from experiencing stuff and it does alter your perception, same as it altered my perception with my first date. If I didn't have this like, amazing projected idea and expectation for how that date was gonna go, honestly, him and I probably would have ended on much better terms, maybe even as friends. Who knows, actually? So, that is to say, sometimes we hold on to this idea and this expectation of something which ends up harming us in the end. Not that I was harmed in this situation with the first date, but in general. Sometimes we have this idea of our first relationship being the one that's gonna last and never break up. In life, unexpected things happen, and also you learn who each other are while you're dating. Your first relationship, your first kiss, your first whatever, it doesn't have to be the one. And there's a lot of pressure in society for it to be. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just what I'm seeing on my Furry page and movies and stuff. But I also see it in real life situations where some people stick in situations for a lot longer than they should, a lot longer than if they really think about it, really want to, all for the sake and the fact that this person was their first something and this person is kind of the, I guess, manifestation of what they've envisioned for themselves. But because you're holding on to this expectation and idea, it kind of clouds your judgment for the reality of things and if this thing is in your best interest. Maybe we don't have to hold on to and cling on to things so tight just because it showed up as an idealized version of what we want in life. Sometimes things are meant to be appreciated in the moment and you let it go. And that's honestly a lesson I'm still learning to this day. Very hard lesson and very hard pill to swallow, let me tell you. Because once I have a vision in my head of how something's gonna go, it's gonna go that way. Am I stubborn? Yes. Am I determined? Very. But does it block certain opportunities and certain, it doesn't make space for other things to come into your life. And so I think that is another lesson to learn here. Aside from ghosting, holding on to that expectation may harm you, harm other people, or take up a lot of space in your life. So I think with that, we're going to end this episode. Take that as a lesson to learn for the song of the week or song of the day because it's Mandy-Mas. No, I can't. I mean, it would just be too basic to put a Wicked song. So I'll give you two songs. This is my extra present to you. For Good, obviously, from Wicked by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. So good. So good. Also, actually, no, I'll save that for another episode. One that I really like, and I don't even think TV Girl is that underground anymore. I think they're pretty mainstream, but everyone I know knows about them, so I'm gonna put you on. We're gonna go with Loving Machine. It just fits with the topic of today. Loving Machine by TV Girl and For Good by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande from the Wicked soundtrack. With that, I'll leave you. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow in that next episode. I think I should release episodes at a certain time, but expect any episode from the next 12 days of Mandy-Mas to drop later in the afternoon if you're in Eastern Standard Time. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Mandy-Mas. Stay tuned for the next 11 days and take care and have fun.